Hey, and welcome back. If you're a Tampa Bay Buccaneers fan, I got nothing on, I got nothing on that. As promised on today's show, we're going to rank our quarterbacks not in the position like best to 32nd. We're going to put them in five little boxes, everywhere from, oh yeah, I got to have him, to, do I have to have this guy? Okay, so in a positive sense, we'll be right back after this. Horrible uniform. Hey, welcome back, and it's time to figure out which quarterbacks you really want on your dynasty, redraft, whatever league. And like I said, get them early and get the good ones because the difference is, I don't know, head scratching. So the non-head scratchers, the ones that are going to win you your championship, and the elite of the elite, there are eight quarterbacks that I put in that category myself, and even a couple of those I'm still a little bit on the fence with. But Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, that's easy. Herbert, Burrow, Lamar, easy as well. Trevor Lawrence proved that he belongs there last year. Hurts as well, and Dak is always a top eight, top seven quarterback in my world anyway. I'm probably biased there because I am a Cowboy fan, but I do think that in terms of fantasy football, if you have Dak Prescott on your team, you do have an elite quarterback who has the ability to get as many points as any of the ones that I've mentioned prior. So that's Group A. That's the I gotta have them. Oh yeah, 100% guys. And then you've got a group of guys that are in that they should be there, and you could make an argument for them. But in my world, they don't quite match up just because of a question mark, not because of their ability or what might happen, but because of the fact I just don't trust them yet to either play a whole season or come back to the form that they were in before, like Deshaun Watson. I know he's a good quarterback and he could easily be the number one guy on that list. But it's been a couple of years now since he played. He played last year but didn't play well. It's a new team, new environment. I'm sure he still has some lingering issues from his legal problems, but I hope that he can get back to the level he was at. But right now, I've got him in category two as a guy that if I had him, I'd be okay and I'd hope, but I don't really want to have him on my team yet. And that goes with guys like Aaron Rodgers. Now, Rodgers, I wouldn't mind having on the team, but with a new team and new wide receivers, new system, I'm sure he will be good, but I just can't put him in that top category for whatever reason right now. Kirk Cousins, Goff, Fields. Fields is going to have a phenomenal year. I can just feel it, but until he does it, he can't be there. Tua, just play the whole year. Otherwise, I want White. you know, um, Wilson, Pickett, Danny Jones, they're all in that category too. And they could be phenomenal quarterbacks, and they could wind up being in that top 10, but they're not there yet in my world. They still have to prove it. There's the question mark. And then that level three of question marks is like guys like Love, and can Baker still be a good quarterback? Carr, new team. Geno, is the Geno we saw last year the real Geno, or is the one from before? Or I get a feeling that that was the real Geno, but he's got to do it one more. He's got all the talent in the world there to do it. So let's see him get in the top 10. I'd love to see that. Stafford, I like Matt Stafford, but Stafford sits in this category and he could go either way. And simply because in Los Angeles, they may be rebuilding, and if they do, he's probably on his way out somewhere else. Then you've got Mac Jones, who's he's in a precarious position there in New England. Jimmy G, he's a safe floor, but category three or four is where he needs to be. Tannehill, I like Tannehill, but if I have to play him in a bye week, that's okay. But I'd hate to think that he's my guy starting week one and relying on him for 16 weeks. You've got the rookies, Richardson, Stroud, and Young, which I've got in category 3. They should be maybe in 4 because they have to move themselves up. Ritter is the guy that is down here where I really think I hope I'm making a mistake there. I hope that he's a lot higher. You look at the offense, the weapons that he's got. If he can't do it there, he doesn't belong in the league, you know. Kyler Murray, I've got him down there just because of last year and some of the issues off field that we hear about and such. He can say what he wants about being motivated, but at the same time, I'm a little guarded about having him on my fantasy team. And then you move down in the category 4 and 5, and you can move these guys around all you want. Mills, Brissett, Minshew, Howell. They're just guys that you have on the end of your bench. Basically, they're handcuffs, and they're guys that might get a week or two for you during the season. They're not guys that I put anywhere near that category 1, but they're guys that they're worth it in Superflex and leagues like that, where you hang a guy around the bottom in case someone doesn't play, gets hurt, or whatever happens. I think that's probably a wise decision, but they're certainly not in the category of those guys. So there's 8 guys you want. Now, purposely, I've stayed away from San Francisco because in my world, the way I look at it, they don't have a quarterback yet. I'm sure they do. I mean, Purdy, if they started the year with Purdy, that'd probably be okay. They start with Lance, probably be okay. And start with Sam Darnold, I'm sure they'll be okay. But which one? So I've got all 3 of those guys sitting down there in category 4 and 5 until I know which one's going to play. Now, before I do the wide receivers, just want to make sure you understand about that quarterback list. I'm not ranking them as how good they are. I'm just ranking them as where I want to draft them on my team. But having said that, wide receivers. I've got 3 here that I think you should have on your bench. These may not be your starters, but these are guys that can fill in case of injury, suspension, trade, whatever happens during the season. The first guy on my list is Tim Patrick. A good, in fact, great wide receiver in his own right. But he's buried on a depth chart and has been for years. Judy and Sutton are ahead of him, but if one of those guys gets traded away, a healthy Tim Patrick is a guy to have because he scores points when he plays. When he's the guy, when he's taking his routes and there isn't anyone in front of him, he is a solid fantasy point getter, and he's a guy that you want to have on your team. The second guy that I've got on this list is Jamal Agnew. Now, I know Jacksonville has a lot of wide receiver talent there. They have Zay Jones, they have Ridley, they have Kirk, Evan Engram and ETN, and an elite passer in Trevor Lawrence. Agnew. He returns kicks, so he gets points for that, depending on your league scoring, of course. But if you remember, when Jacksonville had some injuries a couple of years ago, he stepped in and in a 6-game spread had almost 70 fantasy points, and then he got hurt himself. He was the darling of the waiver wire, the waiver jewel, if you like. Last year, with the new talent they had there, he didn't play wide receiver as much, but he still played a couple of times when guys were hurt and did very well in those games. So Jamal Agnew is a guy who scores when he plays, and that's the idea of the bench. If you have one of those other guys, handcuff him with Jamal Agnew because he's a guy who can step in and get you 10 or 12 points and not hurt your fantasy chances that week. And the number 3 on the list is a second-year player named Tyquan Thornton, New England Patriots. Now, I know New England wide receivers. He didn't really show a lot at the start of last year, so bad taste in the mouth about a guy like this. But as the season went on, what you're looking for in wide receivers is improvement. And that's what you got. He started out flatline and then just got a little better, little better, little better. And as the coaches started trusting him and using him more, he started scoring. Now, he didn't turn into an elite wide receiver, but with a new offensive coordinator there, a guy who actually is an offensive coordinator, not a converted defensive guy, you're likely to see a little more explosive offense. And they know they have to be more explosive there because of the teams around. They're playing in a division with Rodgers and Tua and I mean, they have to score points. Belichick knows this. He's got the good defense. This is a wide receiver who could make a difference, and he's definitely worthy of a stash on your bench just in case. And that's it for another show. We'll see you next time here on the Dirty Landry Report. Enjoy.